Hi and welcome to my class on English for IBPS. Good morning. Before we start with the class, I would like to tell you that HashLearn has a wonderful offering for you tomorrow. Tune in to HashLearn tomorrow at 8 p.m. to view a question and answer session with the co-founder of Ola, the CEO and co-founder of Ola Cabs, Bhavish Agarwal. He is a very successful entrepreneur and IITian, and of course everyone knows about Ola, so please do tune in at 8 p.m. tomorrow and enjoy it. Alright, so today we start with our class. We have seen several parts of speech in our previous sessions. Today we will be seeing another set of parts of speech. Okay, and this is going to be prepositions, conjunctions, articles and interjection. Okay, these form very integral components of your language, because without them it's very hard to link words. Yes, it is the verb that is the root of your sentence. Yes, it is the noun that is the subject and object of your sentence. But without your prepositions and the other parts of speech, it's very tough to make full sentences. Okay. Now there are very strict rules that are to be looked into when you are framing a sentence, and these typically have to do with prepositions. Okay. So that is the agenda for the class today. A quick recap of what we've already seen. Last class we saw adjectives and adverbs. Okay, so I told you that the beauty of a language, the narrative style of a writer, comes alive with his or her use of adjectives and adverbs. And I also remember having mentioned two books. Yeah, so with every class going forward, I will make sure that I recommend a book or two so that you pick it up and start reading. Okay, so today we will talk about one of my favorite books, okay, and that is To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay, so this is a Pulitzer winner. It's set in Alabama, okay, and this is in the early 1900s, where everything, the racist part of Alabama is narrated through the eyes of a 6-year-old. Okay, so this is written by Harper Lee. In her entire career as a writer, she's written only two books. One is To Kill a Mockingbird that she wrote in 1960, and the other just before her death very recently, and that's Go Set a Watchman. Okay, so I haven't read the other book, so I can't really tell you much about it, but it's on my book list. Okay, so To Kill a Mockingbird is a very, very, very beautiful and very simply written book. Okay, the crux of the book is about racism, but the beauty of an adult world seen through the eyes of a very small child, that's very, very, very interesting. So pick it up, start reading today. Okay, so we go to the CPP question that most of you got incorrect. Okay, so I hear that most of you marked E as the answer for this. Let's look into it. Okay, this again is from one of my favorite TV shows. The context is set there. Okay, Dawn is the largest city on the fictional fantasy world of Game of Thrones. Semicolon, arguably the best preserved medieval town in Essos, and has become caught the fascination of several earthlings. Now, has become caught makes no sense. Okay, and when you talk of arguably the best preserved medieval town, okay, there is a certain confusion here. Are you talking about the fictional fantasy world of Game of Thrones, Are you talking about dawn? Okay, so there is a certain confusion there that needs to be addressed. So definitely A is not your answer. Okay, then look at B. It is arguably, the it here refers to what? Fantasy world of Game of Thrones or dawn? Okay, it is arguably the best preserved medieval town in Essos, and as a result of this has become a fascination for several earthlings. When you look at as a result of this, there is a causality condition. Okay, so A causes B. Okay, because it was raining, I was late to work today. Okay, so this causality seen through as a result of this is not seen in the original sentence. Okay, so I eliminate this because the causality is not exactly explained here. Okay, next, C, arguably the best preserved medieval town. I'm sorry. Yep, C, arguably the best preserved medieval town in Essos, it has become a fascination. Here, 1 minute. Okay, it has become a fascination. Here, there is a comma here. You can have two complete sentences demarcated by a semicolon. You cannot have two complete sentences demarcated by a comma. That is erroneous. Okay, then it has become earthlings' fascination, arguably the best preserved medieval town in Essos. Here again, you do not know what exactly the subject is. E is arguably the best preserved medieval town in Essos and earthlings' fascination. If you write it this way, okay, Essos is the earthlings' fascination, not dawn. Okay, so this is also wrong. Now, I made a mistake here. The causality is actually a contextual difference, but grammatically speaking, this makes perfect sense. Because the others have grammatical errors, we go with B, even though the causality is not seen in the original sentence. Okay, so I understand where your confusion comes from. B is the answer. Okay, but the causality is a problem. Okay. Now, goals for this class, as I told you earlier, we'll be dealing with prepositions, conjunction, interjection, and articles. Okay. Preposition. What is a preposition? Look at the word preposition. It has position in it. So we understand that preposition has to do with position. Okay. So I can say something is above the table, below the table, on the table, in the table, okay, by the table, near the table. Okay. So everything that is explained as position with reference to space and time, okay, that is a preposition. We need prepositions to speak about space and time. Okay. Now, we've seen space here. Let's look at time. Okay. So, before, after, since. Okay. How long have you been working? I have been working here since 2010. Okay. So, in order to talk about space and time, we need prepositions. So, look at this. It indicates relationships between other words in a sentence. Okay. So, the pen is on the table. Pen and table, the spatial relationship is given through prepositions. Then, say where something is or when something happened. Where and when. Space and time again. Now, we look at types of preposition. Number one is to do with direction. Okay. Look at this. Look to the right. Okay. Look to your left. Then there is time. You have been working since morning. Okay. I was on a call right after the day dawned. Then location, I saw a movie at the theatre. So hi Pankaj and Gurunath, you have a question. Good morning is of a preposition. Gurunath, yes, in certain cases, yes. Okay, so turn off, that is a prepositional phrase. Okay, then take the laptop off the table. Okay, in that case again it is similar to a preposition. Then location, I saw a movie at the theatre. Where did I see the movie? I saw it at the theatre. Space, the cat hid under the table. Where was the cat hiding? Under the table. Okay, so these are your basic preposition types. Now we look at examples of preposition. Okay, now you need to understand that prepositions are used in a certain fashion. Convention dictates that it is always turn off, switch on, turn on. Okay, and something like I'm between a rock and a hard place, for example. Okay, now let's look at that specific phrase, between a rock and a hard place. Okay, now what exactly does this mean? When I say I'm between a rock and a hard place, obviously it is not taken in the literal sense. Okay, so I'm not exactly in front of a rock behind a hard place. Okay, when you say this, it means that you are in a very tough position. Okay, so all your options look like they are harmful and you're unable to figure out what is right or wrong. So this says that you are in a huge problem. Okay, so typically a lot of prepositions are used only in a certain fashion. There are several rules for that. For example, when you use between, you should have an and. That's very, very, very important. Another combo here, both and. If you have both, you need to have and. Okay, so now let's look at examples of preposition. About. Okay, I want to talk to you about the economy of Nigeria today. Okay, the fan is right above my head. Let's walk across the road. After you come home, give me a call. Time. Okay, then the table was against the wall. Pankaj, and is a preposition? Not really. And is a conjunction. Okay, we'll be looking at conjunction a little while later in the same class. Along, okay. So just walk along the bank of the river and you will find the temple. Among. Now I want to tell you something very important here, and that's the difference between among and between. So Pankaj, Gurunath, do you have any idea when to use among, when to use between? Okay, so between is generally used, not generally, always used when you are talking about two objects. Between A and B, I prefer blah blah blah. Okay, when you talk about among, it means that the set that you are among others. Yes, okay, good Gurunath. So when you talk about among, it means that your set, okay, your universal set is definitely 3 or 3 plus. Okay, we saw something very similar yesterday when we were discussing degrees of comparison in adjectives and adverbs. Okay, among So you can say between Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar, I prefer Rahul Dravid. Okay, but when you talk about three cricketers, so let's talk about, okay, between flowers and vegetables, I opt for vegetables. Good job there, Gurunath. Okay, so when would you use among, Gurunath? Among all the flavors of ice cream available at Ibaco or Cream and Stone, I prefer jackfruit. Now it goes without saying that the flavors, the number of flavors available in this particular place is definitely more than 3. Okay, so you use among when your set is 3 or 3 plus, between is strictly for 2 objects. Okay, then around, the earth revolves around the sun. As, among playing 11, I prefer Dravid. Yes, you're right. Among the playing 11, I prefer Dravid. Perfect. Okay, so these are your commonly used prepositions. Remember that when you use them as prepositional phrases, there are very strict rules. Okay, so as, at, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, beyond. Okay, these are very common. Okay, now some rules that I want you to keep in mind, and trust me, these are tested extensively in your error spotting and sentence correction exercises. Okay, so let's look at specific rules. Now let's look at unlike, okay, and like. Now these are comparison operators. Like Steve, comma, Mark's car is also red. Now this is clearly wrong because I am comparing apples and oranges. Okay, when it is a comparison, you will have to strictly compare only similar things. Like Steve, Steve is a person. So whatever comes as the other comparative element has to be a person. So it can be Mark, not Mark's car. Okay, so like Steve, comma, Mark also has a red car. That is the correct sentence formation. Okay, now Gurunath, ma'am, since due because I have some confusion. Okay, Gurunath, we look at since in the coming slides. Okay, due and because. Due to and because are to do with causality. Okay, due to heavy rains, comma, the city is underwater. That is perfect. Or you can rephrase it saying the city is underwater because it had heavy rains. Okay, due always has to when you use it in this context. You cannot say, you cannot hold this rule when you say, you know what, your library membership amount is due. Okay, that due has a different meaning altogether. It means to say that you haven't paid for your library membership yet. All three give same meaning, right? Since, okay. Now, all three give same meaning almost, okay, but the usage is very, very, very different. We look at this in detail. Okay, before that, let's look at previous class contest question. Gurunath, I will be addressing this in the coming slides because I have made certain examples to explain this. Okay, so let's look at the previous contest question. Okay, and it dealt with unscrambling the words and then finding the odd one out. I'm surprised that not many got it right. Okay, so we do not have a very clear-cut winner here. Okay, now whenever you deal with unscrambling of words, I told you that the easier way out is to write in a circular fashion. For example, first and foremost, I would look at B, D-O-D. Okay, now what is the one meaningful word that I can make out of this? It's odd. Okay, when you write in a circular fashion, it becomes very simple for you to, okay, figure out what the word is, what the original word is. Next, I look at C, IZRRBAE. Okay, now very rarely does a word start with Z, so I leave it as such. If I write it this way, I have a fair idea of going this way and that way and trying to figure out what the word possibly can. Okay, so look at this, ZIE, ZIE, blah blah blah. ZR cannot be the start of a sentence. Then EAB, or I go this way, BAEI. Okay. Now, if I have B, I need to have a vowel here. Okay. So it's one of these. BA. Okay. Now, this is actually bizarre. I connect it here, then it becomes pretty simple for me. Okay. So this is bizarre. This is odd. So now I realize that these are typically synonyms. Okay. Remember that after finding out the first two words, you kind of have an idea about what the rest of the words are typically going to be about. Okay. So odd, bizarre. Then what about, okay, Gurunath, yes, D is common. So what is the meaning of the word bizarre? Because I've told you that they are synonyms. Yes, bizarre means odd, odd behavior typically. Okay, something that is very unexpected, something out of ordinary. Okay, then this is eccentric. And then this is strange. Okay, so you get that eccentric, bizarre, strange, odd almost mean the same. Vichitram, yes, absolutely. Okay, out of ordinary. Okay, good job there, Gurunath. And of the five, common stands out. It is the opposite of these words. So this is your odd one out. Then contest time. Okay, so today's contest question is this. Go ahead. All the best. Okay. All right, I hope you had a good run with the contest question. Now let's go forward. Thanks Manisha and Gurunath for your answers. Now we look at common mistakes that we generally commit when we are dealing with prepositions. Gurunath, now we come to your question. Since 2009, I have been in India. Now this is right, you have a definite timeline discussed here. Okay, so it's a point of time. Okay, since January I have been sick. Okay, or since 1975 we've been watching cricket World Cup matches. Okay, so when you have since as a time indicator, Okay, remember there is a definite point of time that has to be mentioned, but quite a few make the mistake of saying since 2 months I have had a persistent cough. Now what you intend saying is for 2 months I have had a cough. Since is wrong here. Okay. Hi Girish. Thanks for your answer. We'll of course be discussing the answer to the contest question tomorrow. Okay. Now let's look at the other mistakes that we typically make. Now look at this. Let us meet for coffee at the cafe. I'll meet you in Paris. Okay. Now contextually it's very similar. I'll meet you, at the cafe, and then I'll meet you in Paris. Why is in used here, at used here? In is used for a larger place, a city, a country. Okay. But when you are very specific, at the cafe, at the restaurant, at the beach, okay. So in such specific cases, you use at. Girish says hi, so hi. Alright, so he is too good to be true. And then he is very good to me. What is the difference between these? Girish, Manisha, Gurunath and Pankaj, please tell me what is the difference between these two phrases. I'll wait until then. At my home example. Now typically when you say home, you don't say at my home, you just say at home. Hey, you know what, let's meet at home. Okay, my home, well, it's grammatically not incorrect, but it's not exactly, it's clumsy usage. You don't say let's meet at my home. If that's the case, you say let's meet at my house, at my place. Okay, because home, when you use it in a context, okay, it doesn't mean the brick and mortar physical place. It means my place, my home, in a more emotional way. Hey, I'm going home. That is different from I am going to my house. Okay, Manisha, first one is negative implication. Very good, Manisha. Good job. Okay, so when you use to, it has a negative connotation. Okay, so you cannot say, you know what, the pickle at this restaurant is too good. Then what you intend saying is, you know what, the pickle is very good. What you go on and say is, it is negative. It's too good, so I'm not very, I'm suspicious. Maybe they add some, flavor enhancer that's not good for your health. Okay, so what you intend saying is it's good. What you end up saying is something terribly bad about it. Okay, so he is too good to be true, meaning, hey, you know what, he is acting too nice and I have my doubts. He's probably out to get something from you. Okay, so too good has a negative connotation. Okay, this is the right way to say that he's very good to me. Now we look at below, under and beneath. Okay, now they all mean the same, by the way. Okay, so I was sleeping under the blanket. Below, under, beneath, all of them mean the same. You have a pen here and then you have a marker here and then I keep a pen right here. So the pen is below the marker. Okay, but there are specific cases where you can use each of these words. I was sleeping under the blanket. She's hiding something under the jacket. The whole city of Mumbai goes underwater during the monsoons. This is not a movie for children under 12. Now, in these four cases, you cannot use below or beneath. Why? When you place something under something else, it goes on to say that the positioning is this way. Okay, but right next to it, right under it. But when you use below or beneath, it means that, okay, this is the surface, anything below, anything, at any length is going to be below. Okay, so do you get the meaning here? Now look at the examples, then you will figure it out. They found something below the surface of water. So this is the surface of water. It could be right here, it could be something here, or I don't know, 2 kilometers below, you know, you could find something. Alright. People of Lesotho live below the poverty line. Okay. Then the central plains are below sea level. Coral reefs lie beneath the waters of Indian Ocean. They sat beneath a banyan tree. What is the difference between below and beneath? Meaning wise they are the same, but beneath is considered more formal. Below is more informal. Okay. Types. Okay. Okay. Next we go to conjunction. Conjunctions are words that link other words, phrases or clauses together. So typically when you want to put two clauses or phrases together, you need conjunctions. Okay. The most common conjunction that most of us are aware of is and. I like fish and chips. Okay. So fish and chips. So what is the cultural significance of fish and chips? Anyone? It's the most English snack ever. Okay. So traditionally, the most English snack was a scone. Okay. Now the national dish of Britain is chicken tikka masala apparently. Okay. So these are cultural references. When you talk of an Australian, you almost always think about beer. And when you talk of a Russian, okay, you know, popular culture has kind of given us the idea that he is hardly ever seen without vodka. Okay, and Indians, yes, we have curry. All right, although the curry is more common now in the you know, UK than right here. So when you use two phrases, two words, and you want to link them, and is what comes to your mind. Okay, I want pizza and coffee. Okay, so I intend saying I want pizza, full stop. I want coffee, full stop. How do I put it together? I say I want pizza and coffee. Okay, so I take I want pizza, I want coffee. What do I do? Okay, this is common for both of this. So I have an and here. Then what I do is okay. So I want becomes common to pizza and coffee. All right. So this is where our conjunctions come into picture. These are coordinating conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Okay. We've already seen when we were doing adjectives that either should go with or, neither should go with nor, and then both or between should always have and. Okay. Then there is something called a contrast indicator. Okay. Now when you have a contrast indicator, you put two contrasting sentences or phrases together. Okay. Now look at but, yet. Okay. You know what? It was raining terribly, but the students made it to class. Okay. So the contrast indication is given by but or yet. Okay. So is for causality. It is raining, so I was late to class. Okay. Then and is the coordinating conjunction that most of us use to link sentences. For, I was waiting for the rains to reduce. Okay. Neither and or, neither nor, either or. We've already seen this in the last class. Next we go to correlative conjunctions. This is what I said. Both and, either or, neither nor, not only and but also. Now remember that whenever you have not only, you should also have but also. Not only did she buy a car, but she also learned to drive it. So when you have not only, you should always have but also. Remember that but and also need not occur together. Okay, you can actually break it, have something in between, then follow it with the also part. Whether, okay, whether is again to do with choice. I don't know if I will pick, I don't know whether I'll be going to class or to the movies. Okay. Then subordinating conjunctions. Yes, Gurunath, I was waiting for the rains to stop. Good use of for. Then there are subordinating conjunctions. These are typically used to denote time, conditions, etc. Okay, after the rains, before the monsoons, after sunset. Okay, even though I was very sick and tired, I went to office. Then, unless it rains, we are going to have water scarcity issues. Next, we come to definite and indefinite articles. There are three articles in the English language. Whether or not you are coming, I am going to see the match. Whether you're coming to the match or not. Okay. A native speaker would typically say, whether you're coming to the match or not, I am going to see the match. Okay. So I'm not saying you're wrong, it's just that people use it this way, native speakers use it this way, phrase it this way. Okay. So there are three articles that the English language has: a, an, and the. A and an are indefinite articles. The is definite article. Okay. Now, when you say the Lord, praise the Lord. Okay. Remember that the English language comes from, well, England, okay, where there is only one Lord. They recognize only one Lord, while Indians think of, I don't know, we have a million gods, deities, right? So, contextually, this might not make much sense to us, but remember that if something is very well defined, okay, the earth, for example, there is only one earth, correct? Or the Indian Ocean, okay, or the Hellenic Republic, the Netherlands, okay. So, in those cases, we use the definite article. Or you have already introduced something. Until you introduce it, it is indefinite. Once you've introduced it, it becomes definite. Now look at this, passage. There was a king. The king had a daughter. The daughter was very well versed in music and dance. Full stop. Okay. So the first line, first sentence, you introduced a king. Until that, we did not know who the king was. So now that the king has been introduced, the next sentence you use the king. The king had a daughter. Okay. So then you introduce the daughter. She is indefinite until recently. Now she's become definite because you've introduced her. Okay. So definite versus indefinite. Now it's very simple. It's primary school English. Where do we use a? Where do we use an? Okay, here also we have one God, names are several. Yeah, sure. All right. So, a versus an. When you have the noun starting with a vowel, then you use an. A, E, I, O, U. It's always an apple, okay, an apple, an elephant, an idea, an object, an umbrella. Correct? You also have to remember that this is more to do with phonics. Okay, phonetically, if the object, if the noun has the starting syllable attached to A, E, I, O, U, then you have to append an and not a. Okay, so do you have any examples? Sound related, A, E, I, O, U. Yes, you're right, absolutely. So now give me an example where you start a noun with one of these vowels, but you do not have an, instead you have a. Do you know of any such words? Now tell me, is it a or an in these cases? Okay, now look at this. I can see a fuel station now. Indefinite, I saw a monk. There is an elephant in the town circus. An elephant in the town circus. The English are fond of football and fish and chips. Now we come to this. Any answers here? By the way, this has to be C. A yellow bulb. Okay. Now, yellow starts with y syllable. Correct? That's not a vowel. So, it is always a yellow bulb, not an yellow bulb. In that case, is it a year or an year? Okay, good. Now, let's look into these. By the way, this is pronounced you. Okay, and it's the young one of a sheep, if I remember right. Sheep, lamb, okay, that family. And it's pronounced you. So, the syllable attached to the starting of this is actually associated with Y and not with E. Okay, so this is a U and not an U. Then, what is this? Euphemism. Okay, euphemism. What is the meaning of the word euphemism? Anyone? EU is the root word for good. Okay, a euphemism is something where you sugarcoat words. You say something terrible, but you put it across very nicely. That's a euphemism. We'll discuss euphemism examples tomorrow because we are almost done with our time limit today. Okay, then European, that again starts with a Y sound, so it is a European. We come to practice questions. Look at this. Though is a contrast indicator, which tells me that these phrases, these clauses are contrasting, okay, opposites. Though the electrical connections were done perfectly, the fan refused to, okay. So, this is an exercise on preposition, remember. Switch, switch what? Switch on or switch off? That's not there. So, I would like to eliminate this. Turn on, yes, a fan is generally turned on, switched on. started. Very rarely, but you wouldn't be wrong in saying this. Circle, squander and perambulate. They all, see, circle, you don't say a fan circles, correct? Okay, contextually that's wrong. Squander, what is the meaning of the word squander? Squander is to, go astray. Alright, so without direction, you go in the wrong path, you don't have a definite path, that is squander. You squander away your wealth, money, okay? So, that is squander. You just put your money here, there, everywhere, that is squander. Perambulate is to wander around, is to walk around, that is perambulate. Squander has a negative connotation, remember, okay? So, the correct sentence is, the correct option here is B, turn on. Spot the error here. Neither the students nor the teacher know the answer. Now remember, know, the verb, it doesn't have an S here. Now look at the subjects, students, teacher. Whenever you have neither nor, look at either subject, the students nor the teacher. Look at what is closest to the verb. Okay, so that is teacher and this is singular. If it is singular, then this has to be knows and not know. Done. So this is your error. So summary, we've seen preposition, conjunction, articles. We'll be looking at interjection a while later. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, thanks Gurunath, Manisha, Pankaj, Girish. Okay, I hope the class was of help to you. We have put together 10 good questions where you can apply these concepts, okay, and the CPP, that's what we call it, this set of questions. Please make use of the CPP. It's open only to passport members, okay. So, make use of these questions to understand concepts better. Share it with your friends. Good luck with your CPP. Thank you. Bye.